Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm Part 64, Life and Lineage. I'm going to be responding to the Lex Friedman podcast number 264 with Tim Urban. Just watched most of it. I'm going to cover what I have on the board here first before I sit down because you won't be able to see the whole thing. But I stopped this one after 2 hours, so it's getting too nonsense to me. So the first thing I wanted to cover was my intuition of large-scale lineages of evolution. Again, we talked a lot of this again in the Aliens and UFO episode and several previous episodes, and me literally every single day at night. But we know there's at least two here before, again, large-scale species, either visiting Earth or on Earth. Again, just going off of the basic intuition, right? When I sit there and list these theorems, I'm responding to the sentiment of the species. This is my best guess at the evolution of the lineages here on Earth, or at least in the solar system. So the first where I just have this ... solar system, I have galaxy ? I really think there's something in the ice age, maybe the water, but your traditional and your folklore, I think the Nordic aliens is kind of like the first ones, maybe from the galaxy pretty far away. But I certainly think from this galaxy itself. So then we get into the solar system. I think the two main classes that everyone's lying about, at least all the governments who actually knows what's going on, the two that we know for sure are amphibian and reptilian. And again, those words just mean more, again, I don't even know structured biology, what's the exact difference between amphibians and reptiles that we have. But again, just words representing the biological difference, anatomical changes. Words don't really mean that much. But I think the reptilian, that's kind of the lineage of the gray family. I think there's more scales when someone says I have big teeth. I think that's the difference there. Lungs and nostrils. Again, really about respiration. Biggest anatomical difference, amphibians, gills. I think gills maybe on the stomach area, but just a different location of respiration. And then from there, I'm very confident the gray family, we don't believe. And when I emailed yesterday saying that it was consistent, meaning if this really is the difference, amphibian and reptilian, the amphibians would not believe or not know about the gray. So I don't know if that was a planted statement or literally just some idiot human being saying that on a podcast. And that was the previous Lex podcast about aliens. But from the gray family, I think you have tall and small, and the biggest difference is literally just taller or smaller. Tall one's thin and fat, maybe giant would be the word we would use. Grande, literally means large, then big. So maybe somewhere in there. From the talls, right, I think the thin ones, I think you would have, again, some sort of vampires or witches. And again, that's not saying our fantasy of vampires and witches, again, just words that have been transmitted or passed on throughout our entire species. And then right from our folklore, vampires, I don't think witches have anything they don't really like, but vampires don't like garlic and mirrors, right? So maybe just the different digestion within tall, gray-like primates. That's literally all I'm saying. But again, where else would that come from, right? Maybe you trace it to some folklore, Middle Ages or ancient times. But that's what I'm saying, is that's kind of the evidence and the awareness. You can't say what you don't know, and you can't forget what is known across the whole species. So, and again, and then humans, again, primates, just meaning the gray family is probably more structured primates like us. I don't think we're directly, maybe, but I think we're just a local ape species. Here's me, local ape bred. But then from the smalls, this is where I'm talking, and again, when I hear on Lex said on this podcast, it changes day by day. This is really the overarching picture that I have, and I don't really see it changing. I mean, this isn't something that's going to change in 5 minutes, or maybe not even 5 million years. I mean, I'm talking large-scale sentiment progression and life evolution. But from the small, I think the small gray would be the most signals we would have. And again, mythological words, dwarves, elves, pygmies, fairies, nothing else comes to mind, but I would say most of the signals would be small, and I think, again, Earth's a small planet, right? Literally. So, again, I think the Gray family has some sort of tie to Jupiter, again, going off completely off of intuition. But, right, we have the saying, boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. It's like, where does shit like that come from? Girls go to Venus to get more something, or girls go to Saturn to get more something. And I would every species I would expect, from my intuition, have males and females. So that's really like the overall arching picture of intuition of what I've got going on. And I'm very confident the two that they know about is amphibian and reptilian. And the reason I think 3, my intuition says 3, is maybe just similarly related. Again, the ice or the Nordic ones would have to be the lineage of this breakdown, in my opinion. And I think there might be a chance the ice and the Nordic ones are from the galaxy. So that's my best guess. And now responding to the podcast. And so just again, when I'm saying there might be a third, I think there might be a distinct difference of that. Again, just meaning anatomical changes. You look at the skeletons and they're clearly different, clearly modified a little bit. So that's really it. Now going over the podcast, they start off with how big or small can intelligent life get? I think, again, it would all be, there'll certainly be some stabilization limit, right? Like, you want to get a planet-sized person. How small can you get as intelligent life? Again, that's what I'm saying. When they say there's probably a lot, I think that's the most populous of non-human organisms that are intelligent. What defines an organism? An individual? Again, it's literally axiomatic. Individual biological uniqueness. Organisms are individuals. Again, physically, nothing's connected, but nothing's touching, but everything's connected because of electric charge. So an organism is something that can think for itself or respond independently. Biological size is a stabilization limit of physics. Again, like they talk about, maybe, pygmy monkey that's really, really small to the blue whale. Again, I think that's about right. Like I said, you're not going to get some super humongous sentient being or something super, super microscopic. I think the limits we have about here over our 4 or 5 billion years of evolution is probably pretty structured throughout. Maybe some outliers here or there, but not extreme. Does collective intelligence exist at all? No. Just categorically no. I learned something, the sentiment is aware, like an expertise. I can go lift weights better than some people. So, my knowledge of weightlifting or mathematics, use mathematics, is better than some people, but it's not, I can't transmit my knowledge to you. I can't even necessarily get you to behave properly. So collective intelligence as meaning one member of a species learns something and then every member of that species is now learned on that is just fuck no. But here's where teaching comes involved. Then that gentleman can go tell that Billy how to do it, but Billy still has to learn for himself. So collective intelligence is just, again, I had to turn this one off. This was getting, people don't know what they're talking about, and they just start doing like weird philosophy with shitty like Star Wars movies and like just shitty fucking stuff that makes no sense. So collective intelligence, meaning again, one individual learns something and then it's just known and functionally known by the rest of the species, categorically false. So went over then they start talking about, again, the alien life changes day by day. No, I mean really this is my overarching picture with how many small intelligence is really what I'm saying. Stuff's coming out of the woodwork or could be coming out of the woodwork. Because again, I think my biggest question would just be where is the most of the population today? Again, like I said, this is over as much intuition as human sentiment has produced, as far as I'm aware. So again, I don't know if there would be a large population in the solar system. Certainly possible. So I would say it likely, because I think there's small populations everywhere. But because they would be like net zero emissions, like we wouldn't be able to detect it with stuff. So certainly possible. I just don't know how. Again, it's got to be pretty cold on Jupiter and the other gas giants. So I'm not sure. Again, Mars is in between us. And like vampires, again, or not vampires, werewolves, that would be kind of close to like primates or tall, thin. And but when we say we're not that type of person, I think those are the amphibians, who's ever saying shit like that. But again, when they say I don't believe in gray,
that would have to be some sort of disconnect from the ice in the Nordic ones. Lex likes bananas. I thought this was richly funny. I don't know, he just talks about being in the Soviet Union, coming to America, then eating bananas every day. Told you were a monkey, Lex. You just proved it. Your word's not mine. Lex likes bananas. I do like some bananas. But then they discuss nutrition and eating before supermarkets. Again, nothing super interesting, nothing surprising. And they talk about colonization, interplanetary species, and survival on Mars. Basically, Elon Musk wants to put 1 million people, or estimates about 1 million people required to have a truly self-sufficient, independent, interplanetary species. No real good guess on a number. 1 million people sounds fine to me. But again, I don't see why people would want to go to fucking Mars to live there. I really fucking don't. Speciality and polarization. Us versus them, judgment and values. And again, they talk about polarization again as like a value system, not as a physical property of charge. But like the Weinsteins, they're pretty polarizing. They just I'll go have another wonderful Dark Horse episode. But people want to promote their values. They want to say what's right, do the right thing. And polarization comes from, well, they're not part of our group, they don't share our values, so we have to go teach them. We have to go on a missionary trip. We have to go Truckers for Freedom. So, you're just, that is the cause of polarization, is illiterate, uneducated people truly trying to spread their values. But here's a great quote from Tim Urban. This podcast is with Tim Urban. Rapidly changing environment can cause rapidly changing behavior. Correct, and I have cannabis. Imagine if my science would have been published when I was an actual child. 20 years. 20 years. People keep forgetting. I'm the one that, he's more mature. My old neighbor is probably more mature than all of us. No, I'm definitely more mature than all of us. And when we don't get this stuff published, we don't rapidly change the environment, and our behavior doesn't change at all. Just like cannabis. People are going to watch this thing in hopefully 5 minutes, 5 years, 50 years, and say, wow, people really stagnated. Cannabis was proven healthy, proven good medicine, unequivocal, and people literally just did nothing because they wanted to publish a proven scientific fact and respect their own laws. Again, I've buried family members because of this, and I have fully expected to bury more because of this. So, yep, rapidly changing environments do cause rapidly changing behavior, and completely stagnated environments completely stagnate behavior. Speciality and fear-mongering and the Weinsteins. How many times do Eric and Brett and Heather say, you should be terrified? Again, it's so important to put the Weinsteins' history in context. Eric thought he was, again, against UFOs, against cannabis, against any reasonable scientific common sense perspective at all, period, until I had literally changed the sentiment of academia, the most arrogant and the professional world. He works for Peter Thiel, who steals my research. Watch him on the Hoover Institute, literally can't stop stealing my research. But how many times do you say, you should be terrified about another war coming, Eric? The whole world's going to blow up and burn to the ground. Oh, you should be scared. And speciality, natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism. And then the conversation quickly goes downhill. Choosing the IQ of your kid is likely. Tim Urban, no. We want to watch a new movie, but we want to listen to the same songs hundreds of times. That depends, because I clearly do this. I listen to the same songs hundreds and hundreds of times. But it's really because of rhythm, right? When someone's writing an album, they kind of hope 1 or 2 songs, well, they hope that the whole album's a slapper, but 1 or 2 songs really hits the charts or whatever. So all of those other songs that don't hit the charts, they're not rhythmic. They're not like well put together songs. So like I'd play songs repeatedly. I'd play songs repeatedly less if there was just more songs that really like hit a good strong note with me. And granted, I listen to new albums every time I go on walks, stuff like that. So really just depends. But I agree. I would not watch I would watch a movie again. I have watched the same movies again, but again, it's really responding to the writing. Music is really responding to the rhythm. I would not watch would I watch a podcast again? No. TV show, through and through, no. Given episode, yes. Would I rewatch a movie? Yes. Would I replay a song? Yes. So I thought that was a decently interesting point. Neuralink is changing what a human being is. Nope, not at all. Maybe better at communication. And then this is where I had to shut off the conversation. He had speech is inherently limited. No, I still have to use words even when I'm broadcasting on that channel. There still have to be agreement of sound of what it means. So speech is not inherently limited. And in the way he's talking, certainly limited as a physical limit. Light goes faster than sound, but it's not. I substantially, again, from every other lecture in the series, I don't think speech is going away. And certainly not a meaning. You'd have to solidify meaning. So I don't think words are going away. I just have thinking requires words, or at least agreement. And I said aliens too. And they start talking about a super brain and collective brainstorming, and I said fuck no. So that wasn't too informative of a podcast. But again, the dude's all over the place with his fucking hands. What do I do with my hands? But I did want to cover this because this isn't like a big changing picture for me. There's maybe 3 big lineages before human beings, intelligent lineages before human beings, and I think most of the additional ones are smalls. So that's what I think for there. And please publish my paper so I can stop fucking hating every second of my fucking existence. I'm literally on a rock with a bunch of children that cannot grow up. It's not something that can occur. So, the instant I make some fucking money, it is absolutely motherfucking legal war. It is fucking on. Fuck everybody. So thank you for watching From Rhythm to Algorithm, part 64, Life and Lineage. And as always, human beings are a fucking disease.